Breaking news. If you guys are not on Twitter, first of all, you're missing out. Twitter's a great app. Follow me at Bengal YouTube. I'm my mom, Shining Star, YouTube superstar. You know the deal at this point. However, here's what we're talking about. Matthew Stafford is leaving the Lions. New head coach coming in. Dan Campbell is more focused on biting off kneecaps and winning games. And Matt Stafford, clearly not a part of the rebuild. Like, all jokes aside, that's understandable. Matt Stafford is a really solid quarterback, but based on his contract and based on the current future of the team, the Lions are more comfortable with kind of not exactly starting from scratch, but building their own legacy outside of Matthew Stafford. Former #1 overall pick by the Lions after they had one of the worst seasons in recent history, going 0-16. Very bad year for the Lions. Landed the Matt Stafford, and he was pretty good in Detroit, right? He was pretty good. There were times where he was a top 10 guy. There were times where he was just on the outside. But overall, Matthew Stafford definitely has top 10 potential, playing on some really bad Detroit Lions teams that really just didn't do a great job of putting enough talent around him on offense, and especially defensively. Some of their defenses have been so bad. Their head coaching hires have been so bad. Not saying that Dan Campbell is that, but between how bad Matt Patricia was as a head coach in Detroit and making the decision to get rid of Jim Caldwell, who I thought was actually a pretty decent coach, pushing them in the right direction, the Lions' front office and ownership decisions have been very, very, very poor. And Matt Stafford has been on the team for a lot of that time. I think it goes back even farther than that, even further. You look at the Barry Sanders Lions into the 2000s where Matt Millen was their GM. Oh my God. Just terrible draft pick after terrible draft pick. Charles Rogers is someone that comes to mind. And Megatron's career was completely wasted in Detroit, even though Matt Stafford was on the team for a lot of that. As Stafford was, what, 09, #1 overall? Calvin Johnson was #2 in 07. But Stafford is a really, really solid player. And now that the team has mutually agreed to part ways, if I could find this tweet, looks like I'm not going to be able to. It seems that this opens up the door for a lot of teams to trade for Matt Stafford. Now, if I had to give you a few teams off the bat, we're going to pull up this trade simulator type thing, or this mock draft machine where you can make trades. I am the Lions. But there are a lot of teams that could potentially take him. Not the Jaguars, which are off your screen. Not the Jets, in my opinion. Probably not the Dolphins. I think that's a team that shouldn't. I like Tua. I do. I think Tua needs another chance, if you will. The Falcons, clearly not. But you start getting into this range after the top 5 where, wow, there are a lot of teams that could make a move for Stafford and really make their team a whole lot better. You look at the Eagles. They don't really have the money to do this, but would certainly be an upgrade over Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. Certainly. You look at the Panthers. They're a team that really isn't so bad, maybe not so far away, but quarterback play has been a little bit of a problem. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's the guy. I think they would be better served to go after a younger quarterback, but I think you have to consider that as a potential landing spot. Denver. This one makes a lot of sense to me. There are some weapons there. Stafford's going to have Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and those are two of the worst weapons on the team because you have a lot of potential in Noah Fant. Cortland Sutton, of course, is coming back healthy. There's a lot of weapons on this Denver team, and they do have some bright spots on defense as well, especially if Von Miller is picked up from the team option and plays for them healthy and out of trouble in 2021. I think Denver is definitely a prime landing spot. You even have to consider Dallas. Stafford is a Texas boy, even though he went to school in Georgia. And if the Cowboys don't reach an extension with Dak Prescott, is Matthew Stafford a look to go into Dallas? I don't think anyone's talking about this. Yet the Dallas Cowboys are a landing spot that makes sense if Dak Prescott is not re-signed. And is he an upgrade over Dak? Maybe, maybe not. It's tough to tell. Even though they're both quarterbacks, you're comparing, apples to oranges with some of the weapons that Stafford has had versus some of the weapons that Dak has had, and the offensive schemes have been different. I think Dak's a pretty good quarterback, but Stafford certainly, in my opinion, has the potential to be a little bit better. I think Dallas could be a landing spot. Skip the Giants, and then talk about the 49ers. Jimmy G isn't the guy, clearly. I think that's pretty well understood, pretty widespread, agreed upon that Jimmy G's not the guy. But if you take a look at a healthy 49ers roster and how successful they've been under this John Lynch era, wow. I mean, the 49ers are a really, really good team. Bring in a potential elite level quarterback like Matthew Stafford. And I tweeted this. I said, the 49ers are probably the Super Bowl favorites. This is me. Don't worry about this. I cut my head. You probably can't even see it on video because of my hair in the camera. I slammed my head into the desk for a joke on a Discord call. It's whatever. But I think the 49ers could be a Super Bowl favorite. And they have a bunch of weapons on offense, too. You look at the emergence of Brandon Ayuk, who had a great rookie year. Deebo Samuel is an incredible weapon. He's not even just a receiver. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. Incredible player. This 49ers team has some pure talent, and their running game has been so effective under Kyle Shanahan. You add in an elite level potential passer like Matthew Stafford. I mean, look at what Kyle Shanahan did with the Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan. He won an MVP, right? So what could Matthew Stafford do in San Francisco? I think a lot of good, and I would pick the 49ers to go really, really far in the playoffs if they bring in a potential elite level quarterback like Matthew Stafford. Skip the Chargers, skip the Lions, they're in the same division. Look at the Patriots at 15. Are they a quarterback away? And you say, oh no, the Patriots, their roster's not very good. They didn't perform too well this year. But it's not like Cam Newton is an elite level quarterback like he maybe was when he won an MVP. But Tom Brady and the Patriots, with poor roster after poor roster after poor roster, still managed to get it done every single year. Matt Patricia heading back to New England as well. He had some really, really good defenses in New England when he was there as a DC. And I know he's not coming back as a defensive coordinator, but he'll play certainly some role in coaching some of those guys up. And I think the Patriots have to try and trade pick number 15 and whatever it takes to get it done to try to bring in Matt Stafford. That could turn the franchise back in the right direction, because they certainly took a step back this year. They lost the division for the first time in how many years? In the second time in like 2 decades, something like that. The Patriots have been dominant. I think a lot of that was due to Tom Brady. But if you bring in Matt Stafford, how good could this Patriots team be again? I think the Raiders, maybe you're looking at an outside shot. I think it's maybe not a huge upgrade over Derek Carr. Probably don't do that. You'd opt to take a younger guy if you do go quarterback. And then Washington football team at 19. Washington football team is a football team that has a really, really good defense and not a whole lot in regards to quarterback play. We love what Taylor Heineke did for a half of football in the playoffs. Wow, that was fun. Alex Smith, great story. They're not Matt Stafford. I think that's as simple as I can put that. Matthew Stafford would take an elite potential level defense and come in and help turn this offense around. They have Terry McLaurin. He's a great weapon. Logan Thomas has been a very good receiving tight end over the last couple of years. You still have the draft. Maybe you bring in another weapon in a really strong receiving class. Antonio Gibson is evolving into a great weapon out of the backfield. The Bears, kind of scratched them off. He's not going in the division. But the Colts at 21, this is another pretty solid team. And Phillip Rivers led this team back to the playoffs. Now, I think Phillip Rivers is underrated. I know he's retired now, but he's underrated. I think Phillip Rivers is thought to be, this bad guy who throws the ball from his hip. He's not too good. But Phillip Rivers is still somehow an accurate passer and was actually pretty solid for the Colts this past year. But I think Stafford's still an upgrade at this point just because of age. He's only 32 years old. I tweeted this out as well. Drew Brees made himself into a Hall of Famer in his 30s. That's where he really elevated his level of play with the Saints and became a Hall of Fame type player. Matthew Stafford at only 32 years old could do the same thing with whatever team he goes to. You know, he's going to throw for a lot of yards. If he has actual playoff success, Matt Stafford could be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And maybe going to Indianapolis with a solid defense and some young weapons on offense could be the move. You have a running game. Marlon Mack, if he stays there long term, but Jonathan Taylor. I like Nyheim Hines. Their offensive line's pretty good. They just need a left tackle now that Anthony Costanzo retired. And at wide receiver, you have some potential there. T.Y. Hilton's in his twilight, but is okay. A healthy Paris Campbell, I like. But Michael Pittman Jr., there's potential there. Jack Doyle is okay. Like, I'm not going to name everybody on the team, and you're going to be annoyed I didn't mention somebody, I'm sure. But, I mean, the Colts have a lot of potential with Matt Stafford. The Saints don't really have the money for it, in my opinion. I think they were projected negative $90 million in cap space. I really don't see the Saints as a viable option to trade for Stafford. But, I mean, they managed to work around the cap every year. Who knows? I think Stafford was born in Tampa, even though he grew up in Texas. Maybe he goes to Tampa. I think that's unlikely, but I saw Tampa Bay Trey tweet out something like that. Thought that'd be fun to address. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments section below. A lot of teams I could trade for Stafford. I think it probably takes a first-round pick and then maybe a little bit more. It depends on what team makes a trade, where they pick in the draft, because if the Broncos offer number 9 straight up for Stafford, I think there's a chance that gets done. But if the Patriots back at 15 offer 15 straight up, I'm not sure. Same thing with football team at 19, Colts at 21. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Where do you think Matt Stafford goes? What do you think it takes to get him? He is not going to be on the Lions next year. Matt Stafford will be a starting quarterback in the NFL somewhere else. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.
Insane, I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, yeah. Pump and turn, taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speed burst good.